Okay, so in this lesson we are going to be working in Chapter 12, working with Camera Raw. And in this lesson you will learn how to open up Camera Raw image. And in this Adobe Camera Raw you'll learn how to adjust tone and color, sharpen an image, synchronize settings so that you can adjust multiple images at the same time, and open up Camera Raw as a smart object in Photoshop and apply Camera Raw as a filter. Now, when we go to open up in Camera Raw, the filters or the files I've provided in D2L, when you open up the Camera Raw, it used to be you had to open it up in Bridge in order to open it up in Camera Raw. With the new CC, however, just a FYI, if you have GIMP loaded on your computer, it will actually try to load it in GIMP, as you can see what it's doing for me. But generally it would just open it up directly into Photoshop. And what you'll see is that when you open up the Camera Raw file, it comes in this panel here, and you can see you have a different work area than you would in Photoshop. Okay, so what I'm going to do here then is I'm just going to drag my files into Photoshop, and they will actually come right into Photoshop so you can proceed to work with them. Now you can't, you can only have the Camera Raw work area here open with your images. So if you have this image open, you would have to actually get out of here in order to open up the other Camera Raw image. But this is the photo that we will begin with, and we'll go ahead and show you what it looks like at the end. And you can see that they've done some different types of adjustments to this photo. And just as you will be able to see that the changes will be made. So this will be the first photo that we'll be working with in Camera Raw. Now basically Camera Raw file contains unprocessed picture data from the digital camera's image sensor. And most of your digital cameras nowadays can save images in RAW format. And the advantage is that they let the photographer interpret the image data and make the adjustments and conversions in this things such as contrast, etc. If you shoot your photos in JPEG, you still have the ability to open up a JPEG image in Camera Raw and get these adjustments, but the details in the image information in the file will not be as detailed as it would be if you actually had set your camera setting to Camera Raw. Again, in Canon, a Camera Raw file is a CRW file, and in Nikon camera, the Camera Raw file is a NEF file. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take the 3 mission CRW files and drag them into Photoshop, where you can do this in Bridge as well. But you can see the various layout here, and over here in the left column here you'll see the 3 different photos that you have. And you can use your mouse, or you can actually use the up and down arrows on your keyboard to look at the different photos. Basically you have different settings here. This is what we refer to as the film strip. You have the toolbar up in this area right here. We have RGB values here for each photo. We also have image adjustment tabs if you look over here, and these are the different palettes that you can use in Photoshop. We have a histogram right up at the top here, and in the G setting right in here we have the Camera Raw settings menu. This is a Camera Raw menu. You have your zoom levels down here. And this is where you can click to display workflow options, and you have multi-images workflow right here, and you can see you can move the images that way as well. And then on the different panels, you'll see that you have adjustment sliders. For best results, Adobe recommends that when you're working in Camera Raw, plan your workflow to move from the left to right on the top, and then work from top to bottom on the right, basically doing the adjustments you need here in the tool panel up here, and then going to the palettes, the individual palettes, to work. So now we're going to explore how these controls can let you adjust different things. And again, we can move up and down in the images. And we'll start off with this image. And what we're going to be doing is adjusting the white balance. And the image's white balance reflects the lighting conditions under which it was captured. So of course, if you had lower lighting situation, your exposure would be a little lower, and you wouldn't quite get the bright whites that maybe you would want if you had a normal exposure set on your camera. The white balance comprises of two components, and the first one is temperature. And this is measured in kelvins, and this determines the level of coolness or warmness in your photo. And when you take pictures in the evening and in low light situations, you'll notice that you get that orange and yellowish type of look to your photo. And this is the lower Kelvin temperatures. The higher Kelvin temperatures, which would be on a very bright sunny day, blue sky, you're going to see a lot more blue hues to your photographs. So anyways, we have the basic panel displayed on the right. Okay, so right here you can see where we have the white balance displayed here. And what we're going to do, you notice where it says white balance, it says as shot. Well, it was a little bit cloudy on the day that this picture was taken, so we are going to actually tell it what time of day that we actually took this shot. And as you can see, that in itself actually changed the temperature and tint that you would normally find on a cloudy day. And then at the top of the Camera Raw dialog box, we have a white balance tool, which is right the third tool over here. And to set an accurate white balance, I'm going to select an object in this photo that we would normally see as white or gray. And then what Camera Raw will do is use that information to determine the color of light in the whole scene and adjusts for everything automatically. So we know that the clouds, definitely would be white. So we're going to select the tool and click on the cloud area. And you notice quite a big difference where now the clouds look more white, and the lighting on the building, everything looks much more realistic and proper exposure here. And so this is a very quick and easy way, and you can select different areas and see which one works better and which lighting that you think makes the picture look better. And it's nice because it won't permanently change anything until, of course, you decide to save this image in Camera Raw. And again, you can see that if I click to the left of the steeple, this selection removes most of the color casts and gives us a pretty realistic lighting. And if I go over here to the tint slider and actually move it down a little bit, you can see how that also will adjust as well and definitely worked as intensifying the greens here. The version of Photoshop CC I have downloaded here on my computer, generally there is a button right down here next to the area where you see your images that allows you to preview these side by side But we can also go up here, and you can see if I click here, it will show me my original photo, and I click back on again and it shows me the photo after I've made the changes. And in the newer version, you can leave both views visible so you can see how much you changed the image after you've made the adjustments. So you can look at making other tonal adjustments in your photo as well, and over here you see that you have a number of different things you can work with. And except for contrast, basically moving a slider to the right will lighten your image, and moving the slider to the left will make it darker. And then Camera Raw will just adjust everything else accordingly. And again, the contrast slider, of course, will adjust the contrast of your photo, and you can see how it sharpens. And when you do make an adjustment, if you double click on it, it will actually return it to its default area. The saturation slider will actually provide saturation to your color, and it will do it to the image equally. The vibrance slider, on the other hand, has a greater effect on the undersaturated colors. So it's going to be working with, more of your whites and grays and highlight type of colors. You can also use the auto option up here to let Camera Raw attempt to correct the image. And it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. And you can just go Command-Z on your keyboard and go back to where you had it. But again, like I said, you can change the different tonal adjustments. And again, as you can see, the temperature, you can see where it's just adding more blue hues to your photo. And you can see how it's adding more yellows when you slide it that way. So basically, what we're going to do in the next exercise is we're just going to return to the default settings and then adjust everything ourselves. So basically we're at the default settings now, and I'm going to make my exposure a 0.2. And I'm going to make my contrast plus 1/8. And I'm going to do highlights at 8. We're going to do the shadows at 63. We're going to do our whites at 12. And we're going to do our blacks at a -14. And clarity at 3. Vibrance at 4. And saturation at 1. Okay, and we can take a look again going into our preview button, and we notice that we just have a photo that looks more properly exposed here. And it looks more bolder and more dimensional, but however, it's not oversaturated. And you want to be careful not to oversaturate your photo, giving it that unrealistic look, unless, of course, that's the look you're going for.